So as you can see, due to an unfortunate wanking accident, my hand is now in plaster. As an avid gamer, this makes it pretty tricky to play games, as you really only have one good hand to play games with. Now, there's probably quite a lot of gamers out there who, break their hands or just enjoy playing one-handed for whatever reason. I'll leave that one up to you. And I thought, as a public service, that I'd do a quick little rundown of my top 5 games I've discovered that are pretty damn good to play with one hand. Now, these are all PC games. I'm afraid you console boys, well, there might be some games out there that you could but these are all PC games. Master Race, checking in. So, without further ado, here we go. First up is Civilization V. The Civilization series sees you building up one of multiple world civilizations, from America to the Aztecs, from their early roots as shit-singing cavemen, to the heights of the space age with robots and aliens and nuclear blasts and all this awesome stuff. It's unique in that there's multiple ways to win the game, from all-out conquest, hearing the lamentations of the women as you trample all your enemies before you, to building a spaceship, to Alpha Centauri, and advancing your civilization away from its petty Earth, to being elected head of the UN. That's a way to win. Woo, democracy. So, all these ways to win are brilliant. I picked the 5th iteration to the series because, with its recent expansion, it does feel like the most modern and complete iteration of the titles, although Civilization 4, or actually any of the Civilization games, would be best, although I feel this simple interface really does help with the whole one-hand issue. It works well as a one-handed game because of a simple interface, and it's a point-and-click game, essentially. You can just click around, look at all your stuff, look at all your armies, look at all your info and unit tabs, and you don't need multiple dexterous hands to play this game. You just need one. Next up, we've got Rome Total War. Now, I must reiterate, this is the original Rome Total War, not Rome Total War 2, which was an unfortunate, shambolic mess of a game. But the original Rome Total War, which was the shining beacon of the Total War series for me, not just because it is set in an era that's one of my favourite eras in history, something I studied a degree from, something that's amazing to me, but because it was the first game that really brought the Total War game open, set it on this big, wide open, amazing, beautiful map, and let you control all your armies and cities individually. And you could block the Alps with one of your Roman legions, stop all the barbarians coming through, or set little ambushes in forests and stuff. It was so awesome. I was having serious nerdgasms. Much like the Civilization series, it's all about controlling one of these factions and building them up, but it's on a much smaller timescale in the ancient world. You can't go to future times. You go to the first few hundred AD, and your job is to conquer the world. That's it. It's all about conquest. It's all about hearing the lamentation of the women. There's no mamby-pamby diplomatic victory in this game because it's total war. The game's split between this wonderful mixture of isometric turn-based gameplay where you manage cities, recruitment, taxes, try and stop rebellions, and this brilliant fully 3D battle mode where you take all these ancient armies and cavalry and elephants and Roman legions and barbarian hordes, and they all clash together, and it's just beautiful on the screen. It's just great for creating epic historical narratives. I could go on about this game all day. Now, the battles are a little tricky with one hand, unfortunately, but if you use copious amounts of the pause button, and you take your time with it, which you can, then it gets somewhat easier. Equally, you can auto-resolve all your battles if you wish, and the turn-to-turn gameplay in the game is all turn-based. It's like a mixture of turn-based and real-time battles, but the world overview is all turn-based, so that's really easy. You just have to click around with one hand. And as you can say, you can auto-resolve the battles, which makes it ideal for one hand. And although that would mean you're missing out on a big fun part of the game, it's still what a lot of players do anyway, because even that one portion of the game, half that game, is addictive. That's why this game's so great, because you could take either half of it and that would still be an amazing game, and together it's just like an orgasm sandwich. It's a point-and-click game, The Walking Dead, in this case. Of course, there's millions of point-and-click games one-handed fellas can play, but I'm picking The Walking Dead because it's relevant, and I think Telltale Game have really knocked it out of the park with this one. They've created a better Walking Dead game than the actual Walking Dead series. The TV series, comic books were pretty cool. You've got tough decisions, grisly zombies, death around every corner, and real story impact of the choices you make in game, which I think is really important in any game. I think games are a medium, one of the only mediums where you can actually make decisions and influence things, which is why I love games with creative narratives that you can actually influence like this. It's like a choose your own adventure story, really, in a way. These type of games, but with beautiful comic art style that keeps the game closer to the comic roots in the first place, which is maybe why it's so much more interesting than the series. And it's of course it's easy to play with one hand too. You have to switch between WASD movements of your character and mouse clicks, but the game never demands anything too fast paced for you to react to. And when it does, well, you can always roleplay that you've got a handicap in the apocalypse, right? Fallout 2 is a well-loved retro classic, and its isometric interface and turn-based fights makes it ideal for one-hand use. The game's set in apocalyptic America with wasteland prostitution, drug abuse, super mutants, guns, violence, gangs, and all these horrible things that you have to fight your way through, and all these people you have to talk to, and homelessness and poverty and child labour, and it's all horrible. It's a grim, dark game, but it's got this brilliant sense of humour to it too. It's got this sort of optimism to this post like nuclear optimism. It's like this whole vision of 1950s America and what they envisioned the future would be. In the game, you're a member of a tribe who's run out of their main resources, and you get sent on a quest to find pretty much a terraforming kit to restore the lands of your tribe, and this drags you through this weird and wonderful world. It's so engaging in how like huge and varied it is, and once again you've got the consequences of your choices in the game and how unflinchingly brutal it can be in places with bad decisions just resulting in you dying, and just deal with it, bro. The game's all point and click. It's pretty old school, it's pretty simple, and all the combat in the game is turn-based, and it's one of those wonderful games where you don't even have to get involved in the combat. You can just run away from fights, you can build your character to be melee fighter, a shooty guy, a talky guy, and you know, there's multiple ways to win, multiple ways to play the game. It's all your choice. And it's very much recommended for all us one-handed people. Abductions in progress are marked on the hologlobe. Last up, we have XCOM Enemy Unknown. It turns out you are allowed to revitalise an old game series without turning it into an FPS or an MMO or something all the kids are down with these days, but rather you can keep true to an original premise, which in this case was the original XCOM game, which was an awesome turn-based, old-school, retro strategy game where you control this crack team and shot up all these aliens, but improve it via modern game engines and modern game design philosophy and theory. Who'd have thought that? It's amazing, and XCOM does it all brilliantly. It's again, unsurprisingly, a turn-based game because, unfortunately, with one hand, you are not going to be a StarCraft Grandmaster. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to break that to you, but it's tough. I mean, maybe there is that guy who plays Street Fighter, and he's awesome with it. I'll put a link to it, and he's got like quite an unfortunate severe disability. So maybe I'm full of shit here, but this is for lazy people like me who don't want to learn to do that. And XCOM fits perfectly for that. It does a wonderful thing. It mixes addictive turn-based squad control strategy with a kind of RPG system of upgrades, which has you improving multiple facets of your squad, from like their guns, their armour, their personal skills. And then it adds consequences. Can you believe it? It's another game with consequences. I love games with consequences. When you fuck up, and one of your dude bites it, it's tough shit. They're dead. Doesn't matter if they had a huge amount of experience. They were like Lieutenant Colonel, super alien killer. They're dead now, and you have to hire some freckle-faced loser to try and fight the ever-increasing, horrendous alien menace. Deal with it, bro. You can actually lose this game. And it's just so refreshing to see a game where you can just slowly spiral out of control and everything goes wrong and all your guys are dying and grenades are killing all your people, the aliens are getting worse and your budget's going, and all areas of the map, like Europe's taken over and America's fucked, and you're like, what's going on? Deal with it. Tough shit. The aliens won. Start again. Win again. Learn again. Or, be a coward and reload your save. So that was some games to play with one hand. If you're suffering from a minor disability like this, I hope it helped you. Have a think, enjoy yourself while dealing with the pain and discomfort of all this nonsense. Obviously, this is a temporary thing. I'm very fortunate in that regard, and I understand there's unfortunately some gamers out there who've done some wonderful things dealing with unfortunate permanent disabilities. This isn't meant to be a joke or anything silly against them. This is just something legitimate that I thought through because I didn't think there was a lot of stuff on the internet about gaming with one hand, which I think a lot of people do. So, hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe and all that. I'll be producing some more videos. Check out my blog and shit. All the best, guys. Bye bye.